Okay, next. Let's go back to our directions. Since we can't do number 4, let's look at number 5. And that involves typing in a formula with only one number in it. Going back, you have to understand, whenever you start manufacturing something, whether you make 0 units of it or 8,000 of them, you're going to have certain fixed expenses. You have to pay for things like rent, insurance, light and heat, and so on. Those are called fixed expenses, and for this example, they're $4,000. But in Excel, we don't simply put a number, we put a formula there. That formula happens to be located in cell D13, and we want that number to always equal the number in D13. So the way we do that in Excel is we type the equal sign. We can actually point and click on the 4,000. Hence you see it puts the cell D13 there. I then go in front of the D and I'm going to put a dollar sign. Then I'm going to go in front of the number 13 and put another dollar sign. That ensures that it's always equal to 4,000. When I'm done, I press the Enter key. Let me go back to my notes and my directions. Now, in cell C8, I'm going to put in a formula that finds the variable costs. Let me show you what that looks like. Going back here, okay? The variable expenses are the things that it takes to produce, which here are $2, what it takes to produce each gallon, in this case, of something that we're making. All right? If we don't make any, it doesn't cost us anything. If we make 8,000 gallons, we want a formula that's going to multiply 8,000 by 2, or 4,000 by 2, or 2,000 by 2. So the more gallons we make, the more it's going to cost us. The way we do that is we go to cell C8, we type the equal sign. Every formula begins with an equal sign. We click on the 0. We type the multiplication sign. We click on the number 2, which is the cost per gallon. And we want to make sure that it's always multiplied by that $2. So we put the dollar sign in front of the D and in front of the number 14. When we press enter, we basically get a line there that means that it's $0. Well, when you think about it, it makes sense. You're making 0 gallons. Each gallon costs you $2 to make, so it doesn't cost you anything. Now we're going to enter a formula in D8 that allows you to add the fixed and variable expenses together. You go to D8. Now, you know, if it costs you $4,000 in fixed expenses and $0 in variable expenses, how do you get the total expenses? You add them together. So you start with an equal sign, click on the 4,000, type the plus sign, and click on the 0 next to it, or the line. Press the Enter key, and you'll see the 4,000, because 4,000 and 0 equals 4,000. Going back to your directions, you now want to find the sale price in E8. Now, the number in E8, the sale price per gallon is $3. If you don't sell any gallons, you take 0, you multiply it by 3, and that'll be your total revenue for 0 gallons. Formula-wise, you type the equal sign, you click on the 0, type the multiplication sign, you click on the 3, and you make it absolute, which means that you type a $sign in front of the D and in front of the 15 in the cell reference. Well, when you think about it, it is 0, and the reason it's 0 is because when you sold nothing, but you would have made $3 for every gallon that you sold. Well, 0 times 3 is 0. Okay, let's go back to our directions. And now we're going to copy the formulas downward. Here's how we do that. We start with the number 4,000. Now, it's very important that you learn this technique. You hold down the Shift key on your keyboard, and you press the right arrow key 3 times. Those are the 3 cells that you want to copy. Excel has a feature called a pull handle. The way it works is you go right to the lower right-hand corner. I want you to notice that little box or that little dot in the lower right-hand corner. That's called the pull handle or the fill handle. When I click or when I hover right over that little dot, my cursor turns into a little 4-pointed arrow. I can either drag it down like this when it looks like a 4-pointed arrow. All right. And what it does is it duplicates all the formulas that I had put in on the first row to the other rows. The other way that I can do it, hold down the Shift key. Now remember, one technique is to hover over it and then drag it down. The other technique is I can double click it, and that would do it as well. And when you think about it, let's analyze these a second. At 0 gallons, I would have fixed expenses, rent, and heat of $4,000, for example. I wouldn't have any variable expenses because I'm not paying anything, for example, for materials. I take the 4,000 and the 0, I add them together, I get 4,000. But I'm not selling anything, so I have $0 coming in. At 2,000 gallons, I still have the same fixed expenses, only that now 2,000 times 2, all right, if it costs me $2 to produce each gallon, I now have $4,000 in variable expenses. My total expenses are these two, which add up to $8,000. And my total revenue is $2,000 times $3 a gallon. I sell 2,000 gallons, so I'm making $6,000.